because basically when an entrepreneur gets bored by his own company, right, he doesn't have a role in his own company. He feels that nothing is coming to him now. He wants more challenges, right? So like an employee changes company, so entrepreneur goes out and does some M&A or some entertainment, some job, some work in his life. So that is the major reason of an M&A, right? When you are completely out of your the routine, right? When you see that there is a lot of bandwidth available at your level, at the senior management level, then only you can think of an M&A. It can't be because of money, it can't be because of any other reason. It is the sole reason is the bandwidth available. So it helps because every company, every business idea has a limitation. Right? There is a set we call product life cycle, company life cycle, right? So there is a limit to everything in the growth, right? You can't grow more than the economy in a particular country or in a particular domain. So you have to look out for the enemies to outgrow and diversify and to do something extra, which probably is not being able to, you are not able to achieve through your current portfolio company. So that is the reason and need of an M&A.
How's been your journey as an entrepreneur by now?
Okay, so the journey till now has been very, very comfortable, right? So it doesn't feel like that we have done anything great out of it as far as the effort is concerned. But yes, people make us feel that yes, we have done something great. So it has been a pretty comfortable. So we started in 2005 and acquired first company in 2008, second in the beginning of this year, third in just 2 months ago. So pretty comfortable and everything is going on the auto mode people. So we have been able to find the right people who are taking initiative on their own and they have made us redundant. Hence we are able to go and focus and take buy and work, do M&As further.
Anush, what were the biggest challenges when you were seeking mergers?
Okay, so every company you buy, right, you do something with them, it's a very different company, right, has different challenges on all the counts, what technology, financials, legal, right. There is hardly any company which you take over and doesn't have a legal issue. Everyone has some legal issue. So, but you have to deal with them. There are legal challenges, but all possible thanks to Indian culture, structure, and legal system.
So, were the promoters of those companies willing to come with you? Was it a friendly merger?
Yeah, it was a friendly merger. All was a friendly merger. Because
he paid them more money than they were expecting from the friendly.
No, it is not about paying more money. It is more from bailout perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is what I wanted to know. Like, what was the reason?
So what happens is in today's world that people take on investments from PEs, VCs till the time they afford to and carry on with their fancy idea whether it is profitable or not profitable. And at one point of time the investors draw the line that no more funding, right? And that's the time when they need a strategic investor who invests also and brings discipline into the company, right? So that is what we have been doing.
Pulse, about you, your journey, and then.
Thanks. So, I'm a chartered accountant and a CPA. Started my career with Grant Thornton one of the top 5 accounting firms. Worked with them for around 9 years. Very recently moved to Ernst & Young, which is globally the number 1 accounting and advisory firm. We just set up an office in Chandigarh. We just completed a month yesterday. And I personally look after mergers, acquisitions, transaction advisory services, which is what we call that within our service group. And besides heading the operations for the firm. Personally, I've been involved in approximately 25 to 30 transactions on both buy side as well as sell side. So we represent companies who are, so somebody is buying, somebody is selling. So both needs advisors. So we between them we sometimes represent companies on the buy side, sometimes we represent companies on the sell side. So I've been instrumental in. So I think Anuj very rightly said 3-4 things which govern a basic principle of a merger or an acquisition is so there are various factors. So there will be factors will be different for an entrepreneur, factors will be different for a multinational company, factors would be different for an Indian company. So it all depends. So for example, somebody trying to set up shop in India today. So for them the easiest entry point for an MNC is to buy out somebody. Now if they want to, let's take a classic example of Ranbaxy Daiichi transaction. People said that Daiichi bought out Ranbaxy at 8 times of what the market price was at that point in time, and after buying out Ranbaxy, Daiichi went into huge losses because of financial reporting issues that Ranbaxy had. Having said that, Daiichi, so that is one part of the story which 90% of the people talk about, that the merger didn't gel out well for Daiichis and they were being cheated off and etc. etc. Having said that, let's take 2 steps back. Daiichi is number 1 in the pharmaceutical space, in the OTC FMCG space in the Japanese market. Japanese market is the second largest pharmaceutical market in the world after USA. So now for Daiichi to grow beyond, so obviously the market is getting saturated now. So now for them to grow beyond what, so they have, I am selling 10 rupees worth of my products are getting sold at 30 rupees. I have 20 rupees getting accumulated every year. Now what I do with that 20 rupees? One option for me is to put that into bank, relax with the term deposit that I get and sit and keep on continuing that growth. The second thing is to use that money in my operations. Now what can I do? Either I have 2 options. Either when I want to enter India, either I set up my own units or set up my own entities. That process, trust me, all of us know, will take at least, if they would have tried to set up Ranbaxy, they would have taken another 100 years and not been able to set up that kind of backend or supply chain or product portfolio for that matter. So the easiest option for a multinational company is to use that cash which is available with them, lying idle in their books, and buy out an existing asset. Now, for example, if I am not willing to sell, everything has a price in the market. So another thing that I just want to very, very clearly articulate here is I am again using pharmaceutical industry because that is where deals have happened, big ticket deals will happen. The second classic example is a bought pharma acquisition of Piramal Healthcare. Piramal is a very, very traditional, very, very conservative family group. They were never interested in selling out their asset. So Abbott was after their life for the last 3 years to sending them signals of buying them out. So Ajay Piramal, who is the managing director and the key promoter, was never interested to sell the business. His daughter also was very active in the business. So one fine day, Abbott's global CEO sent them an invitation that I am in India and I want to meet you. So Ajay Piramal reverted saying that I don't want to meet you because you would be again discussing the buyout, which I am not interested in. So he said, okay, we'll not discuss anything related to business. I'll meet you out for lunch. So Ajay Piramal, his daughter, and Abbott's CEO, who is German, all 3 of them went for lunch. During the course of 2.5-hour discussions, the CEO said, what price would you want to sell your business? So he said, look, we talked before that we will never discuss. I'm not interested. I'm happy. And he was above all that. He said, just generally, arbitrarily, nobody's going to buy you out, right, at that price. So he thought, okay, my business is 2 rupees, let me say 16 or 20. Obviously, nobody will buy out. He said 20. He said done. This is how what deal happened. So this is what I'm saying. it again is a very subjective decision. It depends on the needs and the circumstances and of every business. If you see west side of, if you look at Western countries now, if you see there's so many companies selling out. Why? Because historically the second generation is never interested in what the first generation is doing. It's not like Indian businesses where you hold your son from the year and make him sit in the business. No matter whatever he does, you have to run the shop, or you have to run the factory, or you have to do what I am doing, or do that business. So I think that's what's not happening in the Western side, and that is why if you see a lot of Indian companies are going global. The easiest way for me to enter a US market is to acquire an asset, and trust me, the assets are available for cheap. I have a cash flow in the system. I have a set of clients. I have a set of contracts. I have an entity which is a set of employees. So all that makes easier.
That is what Aditya Birla Group did.
Yeah, everybody does. So I'll just quote, we did an acquisition last year. I can quote now. It's public, for Surya Pharmaceutical. It's a company based in this block only. So we acquired 2 entities for them, one in the US market and one in Canadian markets. So they were strategizing to enter US and Canadian markets. They tried their hands at running their own entities, they set up their own entities, but the regulatory environment in that particular entity, in that particular country required them to have a existence of 5 years. So they were not eligible for so many things in the domain. So for them, the logical thing was to look at cheap assets, wherein they can use that money and buy out that asset. So again, as I say, and then there are strategic reasons. So for example, today I have a critical mass I reach a critical mass of say X. Now for me the market size is 3X. Now I cannot reach 2X or 3X, right? Because the market is fragmented. I have too many players governing the 1X of the market. Now for me to be a majority share in the market, I have no other option but to look at acquisition. So this is what majority of companies are doing. Another example is Kraft's takeover of Cadbury business. Now I don't know if most of you are aware, Kraft, which is one of the biggest FMCG manufacturers, globally acquired Cadbury early this year, or I think late last year. Early this year. One of the major reasons, because we work very closely with Kraft, one of the major reasons for Kraft to acquire Cadbury business was because Cadbury had a very strong hold in the Southeast Asian markets. So if you look at China, India, which is the emerging economies, Cadbury has a very strong supply chain and it's very different. Every market has a different supply chain mechanism. Now for Kraft to set up that kind of an infrastructure, that kind of a mindset and impression in the product in the customer mind, they would have taken ages to do that. So now the easiest option was them to acquire an asset. Now Cadbury was never available for sale. But this is why they felt, no, we have to do something because we have to acquire. The advantages are manifold. There are some certain direct advantages that you get. You might be able to see those numbers in your balance sheet, adding up to your sales or to your bottom line or to whatever. There are a lot of intangible benefits that you get. You might get the quality of manpower that you always wanted. You might get the quality of backend that you always wanted to supply you more products. For example, I don't know most of you are aware, Oreo is a biscuit which has suddenly rise from nowhere. I don't know if you know that. Oreo is now it's Cadbury. Oreo was always a Kraft brand. So now they positioned Oreo into a Cadbury brand and hit the mindset of the market. So Oreo is now the third largest, it's a 50 crore worth selling biscuit, which is pretty big because the organized market of biscuits in India, which is the leaders is Tiger biscuits, I don't know, Parle-G and Tiger biscuits. That is 180 crores. That's the majority of the business that India does in the organized side. So this is how perception, there are a lot of other challenges that you have to look at when you integrate. There are a lot of post-integration issues. Acquiring and paying for an asset is not easy. Obviously, there are a lot of regulatory, accounting, financial, and legal issues which you have to take care. I can talk about that also if somebody wants me to talk about. So I can talk about focused. What do you want to hear? Yeah.
Legal and financial.
Sorry.
I can take about
Dipendra?
No, Geeta can.
Okay.
I'll ask Geeta is
I think legal and financial.
Okay. So there are a lot of legal issues. Let's take an example. Okay. So Legal issues will be different. For example, if I'm doing an outbound acquisition, for example, an Indian company is acquiring a US or a Canadian or a German company, legal issues will be different vis-a-vis if I'm acquiring a domestic company.
Right.
So for example, if I'm acquiring a international company, I'm an Indian entity, I have to take care, okay, so there are a lot of rules which govern my investment outside. So how much can I invest?
Right.
Whether I have to take approval from the RBI or not? What formats I have to do? Then these are the rules that I have to do. What structure should I follow? So there are a lot of, so for example, I am acquiring an asset in US. I have to evaluate, tomorrow there will be transactions between Indian entity and US entity. Whether there is a DTA, direct tax avoidance agreement between India and US vis-a-vis that particular transactions are concerned or not. If there is there a possible better route, can I structure it through Singapore or a Mauritius or Isle of Man route? Tomorrow, do I have to sell it to a European entity? So all these nitty-gritties are being taken care of when you do an outbound transaction. Tomorrow, secondly, what I need to do is, for example, I am investing in US. I have to, so for example, I have to be, in US we have 56 states, every state has a different law. Every state talks about different directors, different kind of domicile, whatever, the different rules and regulations. So I have to be aware of what is my, what I am getting into. Secondly, I think very important process of part of the entire merger acquisition process is due diligence process. Now I have to be very clear of what I am getting into. I might get into shit, but I know what I am getting into. Right? I have to be aware. So tomorrow I should not have any hidden surprises in the market. That is very important for me. So due diligence is not accounting or legal, which 90% of the companies do. It's operational, it's human. There's so many things. Now, as a product, due diligence is what you would do when you're buying a home. You would make sure that तुम सब कुछ देख रहे हो इस चीज़ में. Title देख रहे हो, or you're looking at any hidden liabilities, or you're looking at any bank loans that are attached to it, or you're saying okay, अगर पहले GPA में sale हुई है, so there is a bill attached to it. So all those things you will make sure, right? If I'm making sure that I'm even buying a home, I'm doing that much of due diligence. If I'm acquiring an asset, I have to do 10 more. I have to look at whether the profits they are reporting is correct or not. Whether they've not inflated the profits. Whether the stocks that I'm buying are actually there in the books or not. Whether the debtors that I'm buying are real or no. Whether they have siphoned out money. So all those things is a part of very strong due diligence that every company should ideally do. Because then, it's a cost in terms of time and all that gets spent, but at least you are aware of what you're getting into. So mindset is there. So tomorrow you don't have hidden surprises. So that is very important. From a legal standpoint, it's very important to figure out, okay, whether the company has a regulatory issue with any of the service providers, whether the products are not banned in any of the entities, whether any consumers have not, taken action against the company with regards to any of these things. If there are creditor defaults, so all these things, there are various forums. For example, in India, we can go to register of companies, do a title search, look at annual reports, whether there are non-compliances, compliances. You can figure out whether there are RBI non-compliances, etc. So I think you should be aware of all these things when you do a transaction. Why do we do due diligence? Okay, one side of it is that I have a comfort on my transactions. Okay, whatever is being reported is true and fair. Second is when I need to documentation. So tomorrow I buy from you, but you walk out of the company, so maybe in 1 year. How do I bind you? Tomorrow there is a liability that is 4 years that was entertained when you were the promoter, and I am entering your shoes today. What happens? How do I bind you? I cannot bind you simply by writing that okay, I am stepping into your shoes and your liabilities are being. There are so many laws of limitations that get attached to it. So I have to bind that promoter or the seller into a binding agreement. So for me to articulate a binding agreement which is binding as well as legally tenable, I need to know what all are the implications of the due diligence process. So I need to know what are the implications, what are the outstanding loans or advances, or any tax issues which were outstanding, which obviously tax takes time to settle down. So I have to at least take an indemnification from them. So tomorrow, if I pay or I have to take an indemnity bond or whatever. So all those negotiations I have to do vis-a-vis, which is very important, which are reflected as a part of the due diligence process only. So my agreements are drafted, taking into account. Then a lot of challenges are happening today. We just representing a client based locally. So they acquired a company in 2006, and the company has so the promoters were to indemnify it. So the transaction was they acquired a US asset, and the contracts were drafted to say that in the jurisdiction of Indian courts will apply. Okay, nobody bothered. Now the promoters are based in US and Indian company acquired. Now US court, they moved to the US courts saying that it's not. So for us that's Pakistan.
Right.
So I'm saying.
But even if the exclusive jurisdiction is mentioned in the agreement, still you can do it in the other jurisdiction.
You can do that, but I'm telling you now, since that particular state in the US had a law which said otherwise.
Okay.
So I'm saying these are the nitty-gritties that are the fall through of an agreement. So that agreement is not legally venerable because the US state, the state of Kansas, had an agreement, had a law wherein no matter wherever you do a transaction, you will have the rules of Kansas where the deal got signed will be applicable.
And
Because the asset was in Kansas.
okay.
So these are the fall through that you don't know at that very point in time, but 5 years down the line is a real estate.
Anyone of you?
So I think 2-3 things people are eyeing real estate. One is obviously it's cheaper, very very cheap compared to what you have in India. Second, there are a lot of programs which for example US is running right now. EB5 is what it's called. So you buy assets, you get green cards for your entire family. So they're promoting education. Same ways UK is running a program wherein if you buy in central London and Scotland, so England and Wales is running a program, you're eligible for a 32-year-old multiple entry visa or something like this program. So I think, but from a business standpoint,